Now I've got aces under the gun +1, Phil limps in on my right, I raise the 20, the cutoff and button call, Andrew calls from the big blind, Phil comes along as well, the flop comes queen 10-4 with 2 hearts, it's check to me, I bet small and put out 35, it folds to Phil, let's see what he does.
I'm gonna raise it. I'm gonna raise 130.
I've got a very tough decision now and go deep into the tank. I raised under the gun +1 after Phil limped in, so there's no reason for him to think I'm weak. I bet into 4 people on the flop, making it way less likely that I'm weak. If he's bluffing and trying to get me to fold an overpair, it's just a gutsy play by him. I check my cards again to see if I have the ace of hearts, but I don't. That makes me lean way more towards a call because it's now a lot more likely that he could be raising with the ace-high flush draw. If he does have a big draw, I'm a slight favorite. If he has a made hand, I could be a huge underdog. There's a lot to think about, and I don't love my spot because I know that this player in particular is capable of dodging bullets. What happens next is one of my favorite moments that I've ever gotten on the vlog.
This is a tough one, man. All right, I'm gonna lay it down.
Don't fucking lay that shit down.
Show it. You
Turn
gotta
one
show
card
it.
off.
You gotta show it. I fold.
Yeah, I have you beat. But turn a card off. What the fuck are you doing? Don't play so good against me. Turn one off, dude. Let's go. Wow. Next. Okay, you can fold. That's all right. You would have won. So.
Queen 10.
So very good. That fold was too good. I wasn't expecting that. Like, you won that hand. Even though you would have ended up winning the money, you would have gotten it all really bad. But you saved your stack instead of just giving Phil Hellmuth 600 or 700 with aces, like the rest of them would have done, like the world would have done. You somehow, like he would have 100% have done. Alex admits it.
I would not have done that.
You would have folded
Yeah,
aces.
Sure.
No, you would have called one straight, sucked down, and then tried to get the
And then
last
I would have
500.
gotten all of it from you. Every penny.
No, then I make the great laydown. But it was a very good fold. Max credit.
2 hands later, it's my turn to straddle to 400. Doyle raises to 900. IB calls in the big blind for 700 more. With a hijack open and big blind call, we're mostly supposed to 3-bet squeeze ace-10 offsuit from the straddle. We find it, and we raise to 4,000. Doyle has a real hand that he's happy to see a flop with. He calls. IB has air and folds. We're heads up, out of position against one of 3 players at the table with 10 or more bracelets. The flop comes 9-5-4, giving Doyle top set. This is a recipe for disaster and another 9K pot. Doyle opened from early position and called a 3-bet, so I'm worried that if we c-bet, we won't get many folds, and Doyle could potentially be strong on this board, whereas we'll almost never have anything better than 1 pair. I check. Doyle's loving life even more than usual. He bets 3,000 to milk us. I don't see a great path for us to win this from out of position. I fold and at least avoid losing more than what's necessary.
Brad decides to check,
I like it too.
and he is going to be very happy that he made that decision.
Yeah.
Little does he know
Anymore.
just how big of a hand Doyle had there.
Get no cards during that stretch. My stack dwindles well into level 10 when I get ace-king suited one more time. Blinds are 800, 1600 with a 1600 big blind ante. Martine opens at 3200 from under the gun +1. The button calls. I'm going to be 3-betting this one. I make it 15,000. I'd love if it folded through. I'm not trying to play out of position in an enormous pot against a wizard. Martine has other ideas. He asked for a count. I only have about 60,000 behind. Wouldn't be too upset if he jammed. Nope. He makes the call, which is the outcome that makes me least comfortable. The button folds. I'm heads up with the main event champion. He has about 1,200 times my career tournament earnings, but that's not going to stop me from beating him in this hand. What is going to stop me is that the flop comes Jack 5 deuce with 2 diamonds and 1 club. It's one of those spots in tournaments that I have absolutely no idea what to do. I have 2 overs and some backdoor draws, so betting seems reasonable. I currently have nothing though, and the pot is already big. With my stack well under average, I check, hoping that I'll be able to see a free card. Martine says, "No way are you seeing a card for free, homie," and he bets 15,000. This is not a fun spot to be in. Does he actually have anything? Is he just picking on me? If I jam, will he be able to call? Maybe I should call to see what comes on the turn, but then I'll only have 45,000 behind and the pot will be almost 70,000. Ultimately, I fold. I want to preserve chips and we'll never, ever know what we were up against, ever. In this one, I pick up Jack 10 of diamonds in the cutoff. Dan Harrington opens a 120 in the hijack. I call. The big blind calls, we go 3 ways to the flop. It comes jack 6-6 with 2 hearts. We've got top pair. Both players check. I bet 240. The big blind folds. Dan puts in a raise to 700. It's an incredibly frustrating situation to be in. Dan plays pretty tight, but what the hell is he check raising me with on that board? Shouldn't have many 6s. There's only one combination of pocket jacks that he could have. It's bizarre for him to check an overpair against 2 opponents when 2 hearts are out there. Doesn't make a lot of sense. Feels like he's got a flush draw possibly. I don't want to call and see an overcard or heart on the turn and not know what to do. Dan doesn't have much more. I announce that I don't get snap called, so I'm happy about that. Oh wait, there it is.
Not good for me.
The board runs out with the 7 of diamonds and the 4 of spades. Dan turns over pocket aces.
This is good. Thank you.
That one stings, but you have to realize Dan only started the hand with about 60 big blinds. That's the equivalent to $120 in 1-2. Although the pot is over $5,000, it's not very much in this game. Just a lot of money to me in my real life. Dan then decides it's time to pick up, but before he does, he's nice enough to talk to the vlog for a bit. This is one of my poker heroes, Dan Harrington. He got me pretty good today with aces.
The usuals.
The usual.
What can I say?
Anyway, thanks a lot, Dan.
All right.
See you, man.
Good question.
Anybody else that's
I buy avocado
million
toast.
times
I would say
at
our featured
Starbucks,
table
and I
is
still also
overwhelmingly
can
the
afford a
M
house.
side.
Oh yeah.
I live in my grandparents'
A lot of
basement.
amateurs.
Except that Karai guy,
Drive
he's probably
Uber
a pro.
and have full custody of my
Karai
kids.
Aldemir, the 2021 World
Okay,
Series
the
of
last
Poker
thing
main
I
event
actually
champion,
come back.
right there in the middle of
I
your
know.
screen.
Really
I don't
bad
mind
joke,
any
so
of
I'm
it.
just gonna make it.
saved it.
God, how messed up is your woman?
My woman is fine. It's my ex-wife that's the problem.
I'm joking.
Oh,
That
boy.
was a Steve's joke.
I shouldn't say that. I think my kids might get to watch this right
Oh,
now.
hello, his kids.
Your mother's a saint.
How old are your kids?
Calvin Dukes, I love you.
Aw.
7 and 9.
Okay.
This is an 18+ stream, so maybe you lose custody after this.
I texted my wife to not let my kids
Smart.
at all costs. Keep them. At least tell them so it's on them. So when they watch it, they're like, "I'm disappointed in Dad," and they're like, "We all are, but you shouldn't have seen that, and it's on you, so you can never tell Dad how disappointed you are in him."
Just save the recording until they're 18, and then
There we go. There we
The
go.
time capsule.
No.
you lose custody of them then anyway.
First thing they all ask me, they're like, "Oh, so she was on drugs?" And I go, "Nope, no drugs."
Brad Owen, battling 2021 main event champion.
Do you want to expound more?
She
on
just
that?
lived a car on her own. No drugs involved.
All right. Well, now
that my
now I
copy?
got to answer for
No,
this
it's
in the
mine.
courtroom.
This
This
is
will be
Mine
fun.
is yours.
I only drink Fijian
Hello, Judge
water. It's
Stratman.
natural artesian. This is filtered from
Karai
the
hits a pair of
lava
eights on the turn.
aquifers of Fiji.
My table broke. I left my coat.
We actually just got a
and
message
stuff
from the
over there.
Fiji
It's great.
people. They'll pay you $100 to stop talking about their brand.
Good. Kind of like Abercrombie
Just
and
don't.
Jersey Shore.
Exactly.
Please
Like,
stop
just-
wearing our
just
gear.
eliminate.
Pay you $1 million each.
Similar, like upswing is like never mention that you took our course.
No, that's it. We don't know you.
Oh, look at this run out.
Oh man.
2 pair here for Karai. Owen hits a straight.
Guys, I just got an alert on Domino's. They're doing some sort of deal. Should I order some pizza?
Totally.
I believe we got some.
You got drinks. Let's go.
Probably cold.
Shameless
no.
plug, right?
Oh, no.
A little
Mr.
smirk
Owens.
from Karai, suggesting, "Oh boy,
Oh, we have a wager.
you just got lucky on me, buddy."
And a
Oh, and there's a call.
I missed
And the
this one.
YouTuber
Snap.
beats the main event champion.
Uh huh.
This
There
means
you go.
Brad Owen is better than Aldemir, right?
There's a clip for
hand,
your
Brad
channel,
Owens.
Brad Owen.
Nice hand, Mr. Owens.
Playing very well.
Karai wasn't here when we were talking about how we're never busting from this table, so if you
5,
put all of it
6,
in, you have
7,
it.
8.
That's, yeah, sorry.
But it's only for attention-hungry people, and I don't think he's one of them.
No, but he knows that Bradley Owens has it.
I
No,
see.
he would know.
We've got 7-6 suited in the cutoff. I raise to 1,000. Hellmuth defends his straddle for 600 more. We're heads up in position. The flop comes 8-3 deuce with 2 clubs and a diamond. It's not a terrible flop for us since we have a lot of backdoor draws. Plus, we have removal for hands like 8-7 and 8-6 suited. Hellmuth checks. I don't expect him to connect with the flop all that often, and our hand has no showdown value at the moment. I bet 800 is a bluff. Phil puts in a tiny check raise to 1,800. To his credit, it puts me in an annoying spot because we're getting 5-1 pot odds. It doesn't seem like he's that strong when he makes this move. There are lots of cards that can help us improve, including diamonds, any 10, 9, 5, or 4 as well. I call one time with plans of likely turning our hand into a bluff at some point if an opportunity becomes available. The turn is the 3 of clubs. Phil may be worried that we hit the flush. He checks. I was mostly hoping for a card that would help us improve, or at least a high card that we could potentially use as a bluff. I check back. The river is the 4 of clubs, giving Hellmuth a 9 high flush. He checks once more, so it's unlikely that he likes his hand too much. There's a very good chance that he doesn't have a club after checking on both the turn and the river, but we can rep one. I bet 2,000. It's a small bet just to fold out all hands Hellmuth might have that doesn't contain a club. Unfortunately for us, Hellmuth does a club check and finds he indeed has one in his hand. He calls. We lose an extra couple thousand. The game has basically become twice as big with the straddles on every hand, and now that I've lost a few, I'm down slightly below even for the session. The $400 straddle's on. I'm in the big blind with Jack Deuce offsuit. I'm getting 4.5 to 1 and can't really fold anything. I call for 200 more. Doyle checks his option. We're heads up out of position. The flop comes Jack 4-3 rainbow. We both got a pair. I make a very small wager of 300. It's about a quarter of the pot. Doyle calls with 2 threes. The turn is the 10 of hearts. I check for pot control and Doyle checks back quickly. He probably doesn't have top pair or a draw, or else he might have considered betting for value or semi-bluffing. The river is the Jack of hearts, giving us trips. The backdoor flush gets there. That really isn't a concern though, especially after seeing the quick check back from Doyle on the turn. We're going to be betting big for value. I bet 1,400 into 1,700 to target a hand like the one that Doyle has to see if he'll try to keep us honest. Doyle isn't quite sure what to make of it. He's probably thinking that if I had a jack, I might have bet all 3 streets rather than check the turn. There are also fewer combinations of jacks that I could have now that 2 of them are on the board. He's just not completely buying that we have as strong of a hand as we do.
Doyle looking to do something heroic here. This is not going to be the time for it.
We get a hero call from one of my heroes to win a pot slightly under 5,000. Just to be able to tangle with Doyle a little bit is pretty awesome for me. Level 11 begins. I pick up King 3 suited in the big blind. There are only a few minutes left to play in day 1. Martine opens at 4,500 from under the gun +2. I defend for 2,500 more. We're heads up again. The flop comes King Jack 6 rainbow. We have top pair. I'm feeling good. I check. Martine checks back. I'm almost certainly ahead. The turn is a 10. I check. Martine checks again. He probably has nothing. The river is pretty much a blank. It's a 7 of hearts. Pretty sure Martine is going to check back. If I check, I don't want that to happen. I bet 7,000. Maybe he won't believe me and he'll call light. Instead, he puts in a raise to 35,000. There are a ton of things going through my head right now. The first is obviously just to fold since I don't have anything that strong. Next I think, what could he possibly have that he'd play this way? Pocket 7 is about the only hand that I can think of. If he had any other set or a straight, he would surely have bet on either the flop or the turn. This doesn't make a whole lot of sense. The shot clock is running out. For the first time today, I use a time extension. This is one of the world's best players, and he's definitely capable of bluffing on a board. It's typically going to be much better for his pre-flop raising range than it is for my big blind defending range. Maybe he's attempting to steal chips before the night's over against a shorter stack that probably has a medium strength hand at best. Time is running low again. I throw out another extension. I look back at all the hands that we played against each other tonight. His very first one at the table, he 3-bet me pre-flop. Then he took down the pot when I 3-bet him with ace-king. Now he's raising me big on the river. He can't always have it. I'm not going to continuously get pushed around either. I don't care if you got 17 million in earnings and a main event bracelet. I'm here to play some cards. Perhaps I've been playing too timidly. Got to take a stand at some point, and maybe that should be right now. I hero call, and guess what? It was the wrong time to make a stand. He has pocket 7s for a rivered set, about the only hand that I thought would make sense as a legitimate raise, given how he played it. He takes me to the town of value in a big way. We're playing 4-handed at the moment. Hellmuth limps in from the small blind. We're in the big blind with Queen 8 offsuit and check. The flop comes King Queen 8 rainbow. We've got bottom 2 pair. Hellmuth checks. We actually make over a pot-sized bet of 1,000 into 600. If we get called, our plan is to just fire big on each street. Hellmuth makes the call. I put him on a king or a straight draw. The turn is the deuce of clubs. It's as blank as it gets. Hellmuth checked dark before the turn came out. I bet 2,000. It's an amount Hellmuth is okay with. He calls. The river is the 5 of hearts. Phil checks as soon as he sees it. We would have gotten check raised by anything better than our hand, so we're either up against air or top pair type of hand. I announce an overbet of
7,000.
There's nothing for Phil to do other than fold. We take down a nice pot though. This win gets our stack up to about 75,000 as Ivy departs. We look down at pocket 10s in the cutoff. I raise to 1,000. I just added on for 15,000, so I'm in for 55,000 total on the day, but the chip count to the left of my name hasn't been updated yet. I start this hand with about 52,000 in front of me. Doyle initially bought in for 40,000. He only has 19,000 of that remaining. He 3-bets to 4,000. It folds back to me. I need to get a count of exactly how much Doyle has left. Stack sizes are really awkward. If I call, the pot will be 9,000 and Doyle will only have 15,000 total. There are just 4 pocket pairs better than ours, but there are a lot of flops that won't be good for us. I really don't want to fold. I also don't want to call and see the flop come king, queen, or jack high, then have to wonder if we're good either. You see me in the moment looking as if I'm trying to calculate how much rocket fuel it would take to get us to the moon. What I'm really thinking about is how many big blinds a shove for 19,000 effective would be. With the straddle to 400 on, it's less than 50. It's a little more than I'd really like to gamble, but I told you earlier, those hands Doyle played against Hellmuth caught my eye and made me realize that he's still willing and able to make some plays. Those hands, coupled with the fact that I know Doyle stuck more than half of his initial buy-in, makes me think it's more likely than usual that Doyle could be trying to make me his newest victim, and perhaps he's 3-betting us light. Maybe if I 4-bet jam, I can get some hands like ace-jack or ace-queen to fold. If not, I'm okay getting it in as a flip against ace-king. I just really don't want to jam and get snap called. I announced that I'm all in, and somehow we do get snap called. I figure we gotta be up against aces or kings. Nope, we're up against ace-jack suited, which I would have expected Doyle to fold because this is about the best case scenario for him when he calls, but Doyle's apparently in the gambling mood. We're flipping in a $40,000 pot against the most important person in poker's history. As badly as I'd like to win this pot, I owe Doyle a lot more than what's in the middle, so I wouldn't be too disappointed to lose. The flop comes queen 9-7 with 2 diamonds. We've got the 10 of diamonds, which could come in handy. I'm thankful that I didn't just flat the 3-bet pre-flop because I wouldn't know what to do if I checked and Doyle shoved. My eyes are glued on the run out since this is one of the biggest pots in my life and it's against one of my idols. Meanwhile, Ivy's having a tough time staying awake. The queen of diamonds comes on the turn, getting us one step closer to the win and removing 2 of Doyle's out since we pick up the flush draw. The river is the 8 of spades, giving us the victory and adding 20,000 Doyle dollars to our stack.
Brad holds. That is a nice pot right there.
This is a hand that Doyle will probably forget before he falls asleep tonight, but it's one that I'll certainly always remember. I have so much respect for all these guys. To be sitting at the same table and competing against them is something that's incredibly special. To be at 5 figures after winning an all-in against Doyle is beyond what I could have hoped for. This is the coolest moment in 2 decades of playing poker. Doyle would rebuy, then only stays for a little bit longer before heading out. It was a pleasure playing with him. I still need to remain focused though. Yo Viral comes in as an alternate for Ivy. He buys into the game for $500,000 to start. Even with the graphics finally getting sorted out for us, we still have less than 1/6 that amount in front of us as we raise to 600 with Jack 10 of hearts. Hellmuth calls in the small blind with a hand that doesn't have us in great shape. We're heads up in position. The flop comes King Queen 3 rainbow. We've got the straight draw with backdoor flush possibilities on a board that will more often than not favor us as the pre-flop aggressor. Hellmuth checks. We're drawing to the nuts and can pretty much get all the pocket pairs from 10s down to 4s to fold with a bet. I fire for 700 as a semi-bluff. Hellmuth is going nowhere with his top pair. He cuts out chips quickly and makes the call. The turn is the deuce of spades. Hellmuth immediately checks as it comes out. We've got air, but perhaps we can get a hand like queen jack or queen 10 to fold this juncture if we bet. We can have hands like sets of kings and sets of queens on this flop that Hellmuth won't have. I bet 2,000 to keep the pressure on, not anticipating getting check raised almost ever. Hellmuth throws a wrench in that plan with a min raise to 4,000. If he had a 2-pair or better hand, I would have expected a bigger sizing. We're getting 4.5 to 1 on the call, so we're getting about the right pot odd to stick around, especially when considering any implied odds that we may have if we drill a 9. We call for 2,000 more. The river is the 5 of spades. We brick, but the backdoor flush draw gets there. Hellmuth is concerned that we could have a flush, aces, ace king, or something else that beats him. He checks. We've got the worst hand that we'll ever have. We played it like we had a draw on the turn, then the best draw got there. We don't even beat ace jack or ace 10 if that's what Phil might have put the check raise bluff in with. I still get the sense that we're up against a 1-pair hand like a king or a queen. We'll have to bet a decent amount to get a king to fold. I'm going to fire big.
9,000?
Having only jack high and some of the draws making it, Brad will feel compelled to bluff this river. I like this bluff.
I don't even know if I can take it anymore.
It would be nice to have a spade, but it is the type of board where it's somewhat difficult for Brad to have bluffs. Most likely his only bluffs to choose from are jack 10. Perhaps he has a little bit of ace jack, ace 10, but those may even just check and see showdown. So nice execution here by Brad. Whether or not it works, we're going to find out.
Phil is feeling the heat, so he unzips that jacket as he's put to the test. He knows that he really doesn't beat anything that I'd be betting for value. He has a pure bluff catcher if he wants to call. The thing that I have going for me is that I haven't shown down any big bluffs so far today, so my image is really solid. The bad thing is that Phil is stuck a good chunk, making him perhaps more likely to call, and by this time he's aware that Doyle bluffed him earlier for quite a bit. He likely doesn't want to get bluffed twice on stream in fairly large pots. This is a situation which, if you're Phil, you prefer to have a spade in your hand so that there are fewer combos that I could have like ace-jack, jack-10, or jack-9 of spades. I'm doing my very best not to give anything away as I'm putting on one of the biggest bluffs that I've ever put on anyone, and it's the man with more accolades than anyone else in poker. He doesn't want to let go.
Phil does find the call. Wow. He's going to be very happy.
Fuck, I couldn't
See that he has
imagine
the
a
best
hand I
hand.
could beat, so I kept saying to myself, stop imagining, because you can't beat anything. Just decide whether he has it or not.
Positivity.
After 5.5 hours of running it up, Hellmuth makes a difficult call, causing us to lose over half of our profit.